Hello class, in this video we will be looking at um, pause and practice axis chapter 1 exercise 3. Okay, so we are looking at axis chapter 1 pause and practice 1-3. For this you will need the file that you already created in your second pause and practice, your initials PPA 1-2. Okay, I'm going to continue with that here. So let's take a look. You will also need an additional file called Central Sierra data file, which I'm going to click. It downloads at the bottom. I'm going to make sure that it's available in the downloads folder. It's normally available in the downloads folder. Let me go check it. Yes, it is available in the downloads folder. So I'm just going to minimize this and keep it ready for you. Okay, so it says open your file 1-2 and then make a copy of it in the database and save it as your initials PPA 1-3. Okay, so I'm going to save it as file, save the whole database as save as yes, PP, my initials PPA 1-3. Okay, I'm going to save it on the desktop so it's easier to access. Okay, right. So my task is done. Next I go to the third, import data into the employee database. Okay, so I have to make sure that I have the file that I downloaded from here, Central Sierra. So I'm going to go and download the data from that Excel file into this Access database. Okay, to do that, click on New Data Source from the External Data Import tab. So I go to External Data and then into, let me click Enable Content. Okay, external data from New Data Source from a file. I'm going to select Excel. Okay, so I'm selecting Excel. I'm going to locate the file, browse, it's in downloads and Central Sierra data file. That's here. This is the one. Okay, I click open. Now I've located the file. Now this one says import source data into a new table. Now I want to append or add the data to my existing table, employees. So I'm going to click append and then select the table, which is employees, and then click OK. And then I want to make sure that all the names are correct. Next, into the table, import it into the table employees. I want to make sure that both are exactly the same and click finish. Okay, start date doesn't exist in the destination table employees. So I'm going to go back and check. See, this is an error. If in the Excel database, Excel file, if I open this Excel file, I'm going to see this is the data here, and this table row or column headings should match the column headings in the table. So I'm going to cancel all this for now and then go back and see if the table start date. If you see start date has there's a small error here because in the Excel table start date is without a space, whereas in Access the table it is start date. So I'm going to go and correct this here. So I'm going to make it correctly and then I'm going to go back, save my file, and then now I'm going to go back to new source data. Again, I'm going to import it from the Excel file. Again, you have to repeat the process if you made a mistake. Central data file, open, and then append it to the existing table, which is employees. Click OK. And then, yes, you want to change it, save the file, and then click next. Make sure it is importing to the correct table and click finish. Okay, then close. It automatically imports the data from the Access database. See there, it's so I currently had 5 and the rest of it has been added to this table. So this is task number 3, where you add import data into the file, into the Access database. Okay, so next we go into, so if you take a look at this now, we have imported the data here. Next, let's go to the next task. Navigation among records using navigation buttons. Clicks the next record in the to go to the second record. So this is currently by default it's in the first record. If you see, this is the first record. To go to the next record, you'll have to press this, the bottom here. It says next record here. You can either click that. It goes to the next record. So if you want to go to the last record, you'll have to click on this. So click on this. It automatically goes to the last record. Okay, now let's click the current record box and it chases 16, say 16 of 16. If you type 16 and type 7, if you want to go to a particular record, you can type 7 and hit enter, it automatically goes to the 7th record. That's how you navigate between records. Okay. The next one is change the field order. So let's say if you want to change the field order, move the say title column and then click and drag it to the left of the branch column. Let's say title column, if you go to the name and click it, the whole thing gets selected, like you get an arrow, so you can select it like that. So click on table and make sure all the whole column is selected, drag it, and then left of the branch column. So if you drag it this way, now it just swaps, it moves. You will be able to move it the order of the table. For example, release the pointer, move the start date to the right of the monthly salary column. So let's click on start date, which is here, and then move it to the right, which means, let me just make it a little bigger. So if you can see, click on start date and click and drag to the right, so the order gets moved. So you will be able to move it based on like that. So select the whole column and then move it. Okay, so that's the next task. Let's move on to the next one. Change the row height. Um, sorry, we missed one. Changing the font size, font face and font size. So click on the font drop menu in the home button. Let's say you would like to change the font. You can either select all by clicking this column here, the this part here, or if you want to change it only for one, you can do that also. Okay, so let's click on Arial size 12. So if I'm changing it for everything, I just click on this column here and then I go to home. I go to the table here, Arial, the font, and then I go click on Arial here and then font size 12 here. You will be able to change any number of things. If you want to increase the size, you can click and drag, or just click and drag and do your particular size that you want. Okay, you can also make it bigger so you can see all the data in the tables. Okay, so that's the font. Next, task number 8 is change the row height using the context menu. Okay, so let's look at task 8. Click the record selector. Record selector is when you go and click here, there's a small arrow. Just like you're able to select the column like that, you can also select a particular record. Okay, you don't have to go and drag and everything and select it, because you may have several columns. So just click on this arrow, it selects a particular row. Okay, so let's see how to increase the row height. Okay, so place the pointer over the record, right click, open the context menu. So when you select the record and then use right click, there it says row height here. Okay, so click on row height and then you'll be able to mention any height. Here it says 17. From 15, we're going to make it 17. If it is only for a particular row, you don't have to say standard height. If you say standard height, it will change all of them. Okay, so let's say standard height and click 17 here and make it a standard height is 15, but if you want to make it 17, you can click and check 17 there. It makes it 17 for all the columns. Okay, click OK. Next, change the width of the table width columns. So if you want to change the width, as I told you earlier, you could either click and resize it, drag it, or you could go to field width. Say you could either do like this, meaning you could drag it manually, or let's say if the column is a little smaller and you're not able to see all the data in there, you select that particular column and right click, and then you are able to field width. You can give a field width, you can specify 18, 19, whatever you want. Okay, or best fit. Best fit means it'll show all the data in there. Let's say, for example, if this column, let me just show you for this column. If you're not able to see all of them, if you manually increase it, you might increase it a little bigger. So if you give a best fit, if you give a best fit, it automatically gives the exact size where it can display all the data. That's how you increase the width. But here we're going to give a field width of monthly salary column. We're going to select that one monthly salary column and give the width as 10. Let's see how to do that. Monthly salary, paste monthly salary, right click, field width, and then give it as 10, the column width. Okay, so we're going to give it as 10. Click OK. It automatically gives the width. Okay, now because if it is not shown, you're able to see hashes. So the best way to do that is next task tells you if you're not able to see the data, right click on that and give field width, give it a best fit. Okay, it automatically gives you the correct data on there. Okay, right. Next is okay, sorry, it says because we are not able to see that, it wants us to give it as 23. So let's go back and say field width and set it to 23. So automatically it sets it to 23. That's fine. So the column width of monthly base salary, we've changed it to 23. Okay. Repeat these steps for all columns that are too narrow. So if you're not able to see any of them, you could do that for any of the columns. Okay, but here because we already made it bigger, it looks correct. But that's the process to change the column width. The next one is change the field alignment. Let's go to see the field alignment. So we go to employee ID column, which is the first one. To go to the first one, you scroll down this way. In order to go, you click on scroll and select the column, and then click on the center button, which is in the home tab. In the alignment group, click the center format, and automatically it centers. You can do that with any of the tables if you want it to be centered. You just have to select the column, and then you can align it left or center or right. Okay, that's how you align columns. The next one is add a total row. So click on totals button, which is in the home tab records group. So let's go to a total. Automatically what happens is it creates a total for the number column. Here if you see, if I click on this and then say create a total column, it is in the table tools field, sorry, it's in the home tab records column total. If you see total, it adds up, it creates a total column automatically. Hit enter. Sorry, we just have to go and create a total column here. Okay, so it creates a total column by itself here when you say insert a total column. Okay, now go to click on the total row of the monthly salary field. So it is not just make it very sensible. So click on here and then say sum. So if you add sum here only for the columns where you are able to make totals, like salary or numbers, you'll be able to make totals. So when you click on sum, it automatically adds the whole column, and hit enter, it automatically gives you. Okay, for this it is not logical to add the dates, so you don't have to do it. So any column that is logical to create the sum, you can do it using this column, using the totals function. Okay, right. Next is let's go and change some formatting. So we finished with the total. We're going to go into the next, change the grid lines to this. Okay, so we will be looking at the next task. Okay, now for the last task, it says changing the grid lines. The last task is asking us to change the grid lines. The last test is change grid lines and alternate row colors. So we're going to launch the text formatting. It's in the home tab. Home tab, text formatting. Click the launcher here. It launches this text formatting thing. It says in the color data formatting, in the alternate background color, select blue gray lighter 80%. That is blue gray 80% is here. Click that, and then it says uncheck the horizontal checkbox in the grid. Uncheck this one. So horizontal box, then click the grid line color. Grid line color, select blue gray text to, blue gray is here, text to lighter 80%. So select that one. Sorry, 25%. So you have to select darker blue gray, 25% is here. Yes, click on that and then click OK. So click OK. So it alternately creates a color gray and white. Okay, so click on employee ID 102, which is 102 is here. Okay, just select the column. Click save the file, and save, or you can even click the save button here. Okay, that's the end of